If you're still trying to lose belly fat doing high intensity sessions or strict dieting, you're probably doing fat loss on hard mode. Walking can help you burn more fat without spiking your hunger or wrecking your schedule. So I'll show you simple walking hacks that can turn fat loss on easy mode and help you keep the belly off for good. So most guys over 30 think they need to do punishing workouts like HIIT, long runs, or endless circuits just to burn off some belly fat. However, a recent study tested the popular 12-3-30 walking method. That's 30 minutes, 3 miles per hour with a 12% incline on the treadmill. And they found that it kept participants mostly in this fat oxidation zone, burning a higher percentage of calories from fat and less from carbs compared to higher intensity training. The sweet spot is that close to out of breath, but you're still able to talk pace. But before we get too excited about this, I had to double check, and I found another study that found even though you can burn more fat during moderate exercise, it doesn't guarantee that you will actually lose more body fat over the long term. But we'll come back to this in a moment. First, you need to know how to make these walking hacks actually work for you. This isn't just about replacing your strength training, that's still essential. But if you want a low stress, sustainable way to burn belly fat, while still keeping your energy high, you want to aim for that zone 2. That's somewhere between 60 to 70% of your max heart rate. That's roughly going to be about 100 to 130 beats per minute for most guys over 30. A pace where you can still hold a conversation without gasping for air and sweating bullets. And there are a few key reasons I recommend that you build this into your fat loss plan, which I will explain now. So this moderate pace walk doesn't spike your hunger like HIIT can, or like long marathon like running can do. That means you're not more likely to come home and then cancel out your fat loss deficit with snacks and big meals just from feeling famished that you don't really need. It also helps you to lower your stress hormones like cortisol, especially when you're walking outside or in nature, because when cortisol is really high, it can actually slow down your fat loss, especially around the belly. And because this is a low impact movement, it's joint and recovery friendly, whether you do it during lunch or do it walking on calls or on the treadmill. You're not going to feel wrecked the next day just by walking more. This is the opposite of the go all in and burn out approach. Now, because it is sustainable, you'll actually keep doing it, and it's that consistency that is what's going to melt the belly fat away and allow you to keep it off long term. So before you start racking up more steps, there's one hack that's been hyped up as a fat loss secret, but the truth about this might actually surprise you. So many people believe that walking in a fasted state, meaning before eating in the morning, before eating breakfast, is a magical bullet for fat loss because insulin is lower. I looked into the science behind this, and here's what I figured out. A meta-analysis in the British Journal of Nutrition found that aerobic exercise performed in the fasted state burns more fat than the same workout done after eating. Basically, 3 grams more per session on average was the extra burn. When insulin is lower, the body taps more into the stored fat a little bit more readily. However, this study also stated that these findings should not be extrapolated as long-term effects, especially with the aim of reducing body fat. And to confirm that, I found another study that compared fasted versus fed training over several weeks, and the total fat that was lost was about the same. What this means, basically, burning more fat during a workout doesn't automatically mean you're going to lose more body fat overall. I'll explain why in a minute, but the fact is, fasted walking gives you a small edge in that one session, but your long-term fat loss still comes down to consistency in your calorie deficit. I walk pretty much every single morning before breakfast, not because it's better or because I'm trying to lose more fat, but just because I just don't like eating too early. So you don't have to make this fancy. It doesn't make me leaner unless my diet is in check and I'm in a deficit. So if fasted walking does work for you, go for it. If it doesn't, don't stress. But even if you walk every single day, there's still one reason why guys keep the belly, and it's not what you think. Consistency unlocks the stubborn belly fat, as you know. The thing is, fat loss is systemic. That means your body decides where to pull the fat from, not just the spot that you're training. So unless you go and get liposuction, even then, it's not going to get rid of all the visceral fat. So you still could have a tight belly with less subcutaneous fat because there's still fat wrapped around your organs. So the reason belly fat feels stubborn is because that's where the body stores it first and most of it. And it's also where we're going to lose it last because that's where most of it is. We also only store visceral fat in the belly belly. And the more that your total body fat shrinks, the more the belly's going to shrink. It's that simple. The actual problem is most guys stop way too soon, closer than what they actually think. Life either gets in the way, or their plan's too extreme, or they expect 6 to 8 weeks of hard training to flatten the belly. But in reality, it's more like 6 to 8 months, which is completely normal, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's what it takes. Another trap is that the weekend warrior approach, smashing out 21,000 steps on a Sunday, but then only hitting 3,000 steps for the rest of the week. Those big surges can actually backfire a little bit because it spikes your hunger, can lead to water retention, inflammation, leaving you sore and just all kind of jacked up and inflamed, which can obviously kill your consistency. You're far better off aiming for a steady 10,000 steps most days. I know that's a cliche number, but it works well. That means getting 10,000 steps on average across the week, but without massive fluctuations. And if you can get more than that, fantastic. But the key is keeping your weekly burn, your hunger, and your recovery stable without relying on motivation. It's really about creating a repeatable routine that is going to last long enough for you to break through that stubborn phase that we all hate. And these next steps, I'm going to break it down for you, is going to make this way easier to stick to. Obviously, the easier something is, the longer you're going to stick to it. And here's how my clients and I use walking to get lean and stay lean. And by the way, I don't treat this as formal cardio, but here's just what works. If you can, take your work calls, listen to audiobooks or YouTubes or reading, whatever it is, do that while walking, even walk more if you're in a commute. You want to stand up after you finish eating. Don't sit and scroll and just sit around doing nothing. Walk and scroll. That's better than sitting and scrolling. And you want to set an alarm like every 30 to 60 minutes just to stand up and move around, even for like 2 minutes is going to help build up this movement and this walking. Drinking more water is another way because that increases trips to the bathroom, which is more incidental steps. Plus, you're just going to feel better and less hungry by being more hydrated. 10 to 15 minutes before eating or after eating your breakfast or your lunch or your dinner, even 5 minutes, everything adds up. And by doing your walk after a meal, it's going to help regulate your blood sugar a bit more and improve your digestion. You can also do walks up gradual hills, but just taking it easy, or a slight incline on the treadmill. That's going to help not pound away at your joints and reduce that inflammation. You can also park further away, take the stairs, skip the elevators or the escalators. And if it's too hot or it's raining outside, just set a timer and just do laps in the house. I do this often because when it's hot here, it rains a lot. And what about weighted vests? Well, I've tried using these with heavy weights, but I found all it does is adds a lot of pressure to your lower back and your knees and ankles and whatever else, and only for a very small increase in calorie bump. I didn't see the benefit of doing it. I own one, but I only use it for chin-ups, and I don't even use it for walking anymore because it's not really worth it and it's a bit of a nuisance. Unless you really want to use a weight vest, go for it, but it's not going to make a huge difference to your calorie burn unless you're like jogging or running. You can test it out for yourself. Another thing is just take the dog for a walk, go kick the soccer ball or footy with the kids, clean the house, mow the lawn, literally any reason to get up and walk and get something and do something and move. And I'm going to break down a super simple walking plan that might work for you and that you can kind of customize to suit yourself if you want to ramp it up and drop more belly fat. By the way, if this feels too easy, just add more to it. Use common sense, right? But this is a minimum start that you can do to start seeing results and increase your step count gradually when paired with a proper diet that's keeping you in a deficit. So Monday to Friday, you want to try and get somewhere between 20 to say 45 minutes of brisk walking in the mornings. That's going to be more ideal. It doesn't matter if it's fasted or not. After you eat, you want to try and get at least 5 to 15 minutes. So 5 to 15 minutes after lunch and then 5 to 15 minutes after your dinner. If you do have a snack in the afternoon, include at least 5 minutes of walking or moving around with that snack, even while you're eating it or going to get it. Doesn't matter if this is inside or outside or on a treadmill. Then on the weekends, you want to try and get in one more longer walk or just increase the morning walk or whatever it is. You can make it social, take the kids with the family, your partner, wife, whatever it is, or your mates. Overall, if you do this every day, you're going to get somewhere between 9 to 10,000 steps across the week. It doesn't have to be all in one block. All the little short bouts across the day will add up. However, what I've found in my experience that guys who get less than 9,000 steps, it just puts more pressure on your diet, shrinks your deficit, and it reduces your freedom with your food. So that's why I'm recommending 10,000. Also recommend strongly 2 to 3 workouts per week to maintain your muscle mass, because if you're on a fat loss phase, that is going to put your muscle at risk unless you are actually training. And so if you keep this going, you're going to consistently burn more fat across the week on average month to month. But walking is just one part of the fat loss equation. If your diet isn't dialed in, meaning you're not in a calorie deficit, then no amount of walking will actually get you lean. So this is why I strongly recommend pairing this with a flexible nutrition strategy so that you can accelerate your results and reach 15% body fat, or even less than that. 11 to 13 is what I maintain, and it's pretty easy to do. Less than that, below 10 gets a bit difficult. But reaching 15% body fat is exactly what my Business Body Blueprint routine is designed to do for busy guys who just want to get and stay lean without cutting out all their favorite foods, skipping family dinners or business lunches and being that, awkward guy who can't eat anything at all, or falling into the trap of making their gym a second home. To learn more about this, tap the link right below this video. It's right there, Business Body Blueprint. Then once you've had a look, go watch this video next where I've covered everything I wish I knew before I got to 11% body fat. Watch this next.